Hi, I'm Elaine Pearson. I'm the author of Chasing Wrongs and Rights. I'm the Asia Director at Human Rights Watch, and my book is out now. So I became a human rights activist largely because I've always been interested in social justice and thinking about how to make the world a more fair place for people in it. But I guess on a more personal level, when I was at university studying law, Pauline Hanson came to Parliament for the first time. This was in the 1990s. And she really came to power promoting racist and xenophobic policies. Her target back then was Asians. And as someone from an Asian background, I took it very personally. I started my career working on trafficking and migration, and I also have a really personal story of trafficking in my own family. My grandmother was sold to an opera troupe in China when she was 10 years old. And it was only much later in my career and in life that I actually discovered the full extent of that story. So I wrote this book because I think it's really important to be honest and share some of the successes and some of the failures of the human rights movement, and particularly some of the campaigns that I have worked on, so that we can learn the lessons from those for the future. What are my favorite spots? Well, firstly, I have to say Bangkok. I've lived there. I love the city. I love the food. I love the people. And it's a very special place, which, you know, is intoxicating, and I feel like it feels like anything can happen. Secondly, I would say Kathmandu. What I love about Kathmandu is it's, you know, this small city in the mountains. It feels like the mountains touch the sky. And yet you can creep down these little laneways that are crowded and full of vehicles, and then it'll open up into a little square that's very spiritual and feels like you're going back. One of my other favorite cities is definitely New York. I find it's an intoxicating and exhilarating place. It both frustrates me and excites me in equal measure, and I love that it's a city where it feels like anything can happen and you can meet anyone. Knowing that young people are really at the forefront of driving social change at the moment. Young people are leading protests, whether that's about climate change in Australia, whether it's about social justice and human rights in Myanmar, in Thailand, in Hong Kong. You have university students taking to the streets, you have young people educating themselves, getting information about what is happening, and really taking a stand against authoritarian governments. And they're organizing across borders, they're sharing information, and that really makes me hopeful for our future ahead. I'm really proud of the work that we did on human trafficking, in particular, I guess, ensuring that human rights are front and center of any anti-trafficking treaty or response. And for me, this was really being the right time, right place, lobbying governments to ensure that human rights protections were included in the trafficking protocol, and then being part of the follow-up work to ensure that when people are rescued or when they flee a trafficking situation, that they have their rights respected. And I think we were really able to change the frame of that debate from something about controlling crime and prosecutions to really about protecting the rights of victims. And you can read more about this in the book. I'm also really proud of the work that we've done on academic freedom, and I myself have experienced how it feels to have a moment of cancel culture in a way when pro-Chinese Communist Party students complained about some comments that I made about human rights in Hong Kong. But I've really seen that with sustained pressure and attention to these issues, universities have gone from largely shrugging their shoulders to now initiating new campaigns of awareness raising and mechanisms to report human rights violations that deal with foreign interference. And this is really important, you know, for academics, but also for students who are facing censorship, harassment, and intimidation. And so I think it's really great to see the way in which governments have come on board, and universities are also showing now a duty of care to protect students wherever they come from, because anyone studying in Australia should feel safe enough to have disagreements with their professor in the classroom, to join a protest, to attend a certain meeting. And so it's really important that this issue is now, front and center of our university discourse. Firstly, it's really about educating yourself. Find an issue that you're passionate about, read about it, know more about it. Secondly, you need to mobilise on that issue. Sign a petition, join a protest, call up your MP. There are small things that people can do, but this really does make a difference. Thirdly, it's really important to support human rights organisations that are really at the coalface of doing this work. Support Human Rights Watch, support your local organisation on the issue that you care about.